The government calls Michael Anderson. Michael Anderson, having been duly sworn, testified as follows. State your full name and correct spelling for the record, please. Michael Anderson. MICHAELANDERSON. Good morning, Michael. Can you introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury and tell them where you are originally from? Say it again. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Central City, New Orleans, Louisiana. How old are you? 29. All right. So, since you're in an orange jumpsuit with some handcuffs, I want to talk a little about your criminal history. You are currently serving a life sentence, is that correct? Yes, ma'am. That is pursuant to a plea you entered in 2011? Yes, ma'am. Pursuant to that plea, you pled guilty to count 1, which was a conspiracy to commit RICO, and count 2, a conspiracy to distribute 280 grams or more of cocaine base and a quantity of cocaine hydrochloride, heroin, and marijuana, and count 6, in which you were charged with murder in aid of racketeering. Is that what you pled guilty to? Yes, ma'am. Also pursuant to that plea agreement, you entered a no contest plea in state court to 5 counts of manslaughter under North Carolina versus Alford. Would that be right? Yes, ma'am. All right. Those 2 pleas, both the federal government plea and your state plea, those sentences are to run what's called concurrent and coterminous. Is that correct? Yes, ma'am. Okay. So pursuant to your plea agreement, you also have agreed to cooperate with the government? Yes, ma'am. You're cooperating in hopes of receiving a sentence less than life? Yes, ma'am. So if for some reason the government files what's called a motion or Rule 35 motion requesting a reduction in your sentence in the federal case, is it your understanding if Judge Feldman was to grant that and reduce your sentence, that your state sentence would be reduced the same? Yes, ma'am. Now, you also have a prior 2007 conviction for being a felon in possession of a firearm? Yes, ma'am. Then you also have a 2004 conviction for possession of crack cocaine? Yeah. Now, you stated that you were from Central City? Yeah. Where in Central City did you grow up? I lived on Josephine Street, St. Andrew, and LaSalle, like Felicity Street. I stayed on Jackson Avenue. I stayed on Dryades, Aretha Castle Haley Street. Okay. And you have been incarcerated or in jail since when? 2006. So you have been incarcerated since 2006 to today in 2016? Yes, ma'am. Okay. So I want to take you, obviously, to before 2006. Who were you living with when you were living in Central City? 2006? Just any time period before you got incarcerated. I was living with my mother. Do you have any brothers and sisters? Yeah, I have 1 sister, 1 brother who is living. I have 2 brothers dead. I'm sorry? I have 2 brothers dead. I have 1 sister who is still living and another brother. Okay, and your 2 brothers who are dead, what were their names? One named Corey Anderson and the other one Jerome Anderson. Corey Anderson, did he have a nickname? Coco. Okay. Was he older? Yeah, that's my oldest brother. Now, when you were out on the streets and not incarcerated, did you sell drugs? Yes, ma'am. At what age did you start selling drugs? Probably about 13 years old. If I can ask you a little bit, how far did you go in school? 8.5. It's like when you don't complete 8th grade. You don't actually make it to the 9th grade, but they call it like an 8.5, like base level thing. Okay, so 8th grade and plus half a year or so? I don't know how it really means. I just know that they call it 8.5, special ed, whatever, special education classes, whatever. Okay, so when you were in school, were you in special ed classes? Yes, ma'am. How old were you when you were in 8th grade? 16. Now, I'm sorry, how old were you when you started selling drugs again? At 13. When you started selling drugs around the age of 13, what were you selling? Marijuana. Did you at some point in time begin to sell something else? Yes, I started selling crack cocaine. Can you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how you began to sell crack cocaine? I started selling crack cocaine when I came home from juvenile prison in 2013, and my brother friend, George Jackson, he is the first one came to me. He explained to me, because I've been knowing him all my life, but he came to me like, man, I just come home from jail. What are you going to do with yourself? Like, man, you got to get out there and get money. I know you want cars, motorbikes, things you like to get or whatever. He like, man, since your brother dead, I'm your big brother now. You know what I'm saying? So, George Jackson, did he have a nickname? Yeah, Black. Okay. When you were talking about your older brother, Coco, was he friends with your older brother? Yeah, him and my brother was best friends. All right. Who else did you know from growing up? You said you knew him your whole life. Who else did you know from that area? I knew George Jackson, Black, Dump, Terrell, Derek Smothers, Dump, Terrell Smothers, Nakia Hankton, Ines, Anthony Commodore, Buki, Durney, Pluck, Rodney Robinson. I'm going to show you some pictures, Michael. Can I show you Government Exhibit 56, please? Do you recognize him? That is Charles Jackson. That's who you were talking about a minute ago? Right. If I can admit that, Your Honor. I don't think that one has been admitted yet, number 56. So ordered. Exhibit 51. Do you know who that individual is? Nakia Hankton. Number 52. Do you know who that is? Shirley Hankton. Number 53. Telly Hankton.